Welcome to another video about how to heal adoption and narcissistic abuse. If you're new to my channel, my name is Theodora. I work as a spiritual and psychological counselor, and I am an adoptee myself. In this video, we're gonna talk about the 5 things that I wish that I knew about being adopted when hitting adulthood. I wish that someone had told me this is how it's going to be when you become an adult and you are trying to navigate life as an adopted person. The first thing that I wish I knew about navigating adulthood as an adopted person is that I would continue to feeling unsafe in the world. What I mean by that is when I grew up as an adopted person, I was constantly afraid because I thought that the world was not a safe place to be, because that's what the experience of being adopted taught me. It taught me that you cannot feel safe in this world because it is brutal and it's going to hurt you. It's going to separate you from the most important person in your life. And so I had that belief. I had concluded that from the traumatic experience it was to be adopted, it was to be separated from my mother. And this feeling, this anxiety that constantly penetrated my body, it continued. It followed me like this annoying little dog. It followed me into my adulthood. And I was so sick of that. I kept bumping my head up against it. It was affecting all my emotions, all my thoughts, and how I was acting, the choices that I made. It kept affecting it. It was like a parasite. It just kept being there, and it was draining me so much. It was draining my body. And at some point I began to notice that my friends, they did not walk around feeling like I was feeling. They did not walk around being so afraid that the world was not a safe place to be, and that they did not have that perception. And that's when I was like, hold on a second, something is wrong here. Something is wrong. I should not feel like this. This is not how it's supposed to feel like when you are an adult person. Even if you are adopted, you should not feel like this. This is going to take all your energy. It's going to deplete you. It's going to stop you from living the life that you want. So I remember when I really began understanding that this is something about me. This is something about my experiences that have led me to have this strong belief that the world is not a safe place to be. Because fact is, it was not safe back then. It was not safe because I was separated from my mother. It's a huge threat to a child. So of course, this is my conclusion as a little child that doesn't understand what's going on. Then the world is just not safe for me. I knew that this had to change. I could not continue my life being so scared of the world, because I could really feel that it was stopping me from living the life that I wanted. And I could see how calm and energized my friends were, because they did not have that concern. They were not worrying. They were not filling their thoughts with this worrying, and they were taking way more aligned actions than I was. That's when I really saw the impact and consequences of being adopted, and how it was truly affecting my adulthood. And I could not imagine continuing to live like that, being that afraid. I knew that this is something that I need to dissolve and heal and let go of once and for all. So the second thing that I wish I knew about So the second thing that I wish I knew about how to navigate adulthood as an adopted person is that my trauma only became louder when I hit adulthood. The moment I reached my 20s, I was just hammered with suppressed emotions, suppressed pain that I was feeling in my body. My body was really starting to scream and trying to get my attention and really trying to get me to understand that this is not good to hold on to all this trauma. And my body really showed me how much my experience of being separated from my mother, my experience of being adopted, and my experience of not growing up in a healthy, loving, caring, adoptive family, how that was making me physically ill, because that's what happened to me. I got sick when I was about 23 years old, and I had to pause everything I was doing in my life. The only thing I could do was to lay in my bed, and I was luckily that I was studying at that time at university, and I got the permission to continue to follow the courses from my bed, which was very, very strange experience, and it was very, very difficult. And at that time, I did not even know that it was because of my childhood. It was because of so many things that had happened in my dysfunctional adoptive family that just became too much for my body. Eventually, it just had to say, no, not more. I can't take any more of this mistreatment, of suppressing myself, of not feeling my emotions, not connecting with my core self. My body literally said, no more, I can't do anymore. So at that point, I realized how loud my unresolved trauma were really getting. And it came to a point where I couldn't continue living my adult life. I couldn't continue being social. I couldn't continue working. I couldn't continue seeing my friends and my family because I was that sick. I was so physically ill. I was in so much pain. It took me so many years to dissolve that, to heal that, to get rid of all that suppression that I was holding on to. I just really, really wish that someone would have told me this, that it will get louder. The pain that you're feeling as a child, it will get louder. But you have the power to heal it. I wish someone also told me that, because otherwise I think I would have been quite disappointed, devastated to just know that it's just going to get worse. I wish that someone had told me that I could take the control back and that I had the power to heal whatever had happened to me. The third thing that I really wish I knew about navigating adulthood as an adopted person is that all my relationships will continue to be affected by the separation that I experienced as a child. And that this abandonment wound that I have would affect all my relationships later in adulthood. It would affect my relationship at my job, in school, among my friends, and even with my family, that it was just continue to affect every relationship that I would have. And that would be painful for me, but also for the other people, because I realized that I was unconsciously hurting other people because I did not know how to deal with my own pain. So I was just unconsciously projecting that onto other people. I have heard so many friends that couldn't continue being friends with me because I did not know how to treat them properly. And I have heard so many men that I was dating, because I could not see through their behaviors. I could not see through it without seeing it through my trauma. And my trauma was showing me things that were not actually really happening in real life. My trauma was just replaying the past. And that's what I saw. I saw what I wanted to see, or what my brain wanted me to see. I only saw danger. I saw that other people were not safe to be around. They were not, that I could not trust them, that they were not gonna treat me properly. That's what I saw, but that's not what they were actually doing. I just saw something that my mind made up in order to protect me, because the brain's finest job is to protect us. So the more pain, the more trauma we have been through in the past, the more the brain will do anything to protect us. And that's what I experienced. That was not easy. That's been so difficult. And I really came to a point where I just knew, like, I cannot continue like this. I really, really want calm, safe, secure friends. I just came to a point where I knew I need to do something about this, because that's not how I want to relate to other people. That's not how I want to connect with other people, because it doesn't feel good inside. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel loving. It's coming from a place of deep fear within me. The fourth thing that I wish I knew about how to navigate adulthood as an adopted person is that most people would not understand what I have been going through, and that is okay. And it's not my fault. It's not because I did something wrong or what happened to me is wrong. People will just not understand what I went through, because it was that complex. It's that deep. And a lot of people have not experienced this depth of pain, separation, loss, suppressed emotions, suppressed grief, and even gaslighting from the whole society around us. So many people have not experienced how insane and unnatural it is to be adopted. I really wish that someone had told me this. When you hit adulthood, people are not going to believe your story. They're not going to believe that this is what happened to you. And they will never understand your pain to the root, because it's that difficult when they have not experienced it themselves. It doesn't mean that they can't hold compassion for you, and then they can't care for you and offer you support. But they will never understand fully the depth of this. And they will never understand that when you hit a crisis in your life, all of this very early trauma will show its most ugly face of all. They will not understand your way of reacting in crisis situations. They will not understand that maybe you are completely shutting down and you are overwhelmed with anxiety. It's like being reminded of the worst day of your life, where you were being separated from your mother, and how that impacted you, and the consequences of that, and how that felt like when you hit a crisis in your adulthood. You can experience that all of this is gonna come up to the surface full speed, and other people might say that you are over dramatic, and that you are overreacting, and that you're too sensitive, and that you're completely misunderstanding the severeness of it. But you are really not, because you have already experienced the worst crisis of your life when you were being separated from your mother. So of course, you're reacting with the same kind of protection when you are facing crisis in adulthood. the 5th and final thing that I wish I knew about how to navigate adulthood as an adopted person is that I am responsible for healing and repairing whatever other people did to me. And that's not fair. But it's still my responsibility, and that sucks. It really, really sucks. Because not only was I put through so much pain and trauma, now it's also my responsibility to clean it up, to clean up other people's mess. That is not fair. And I had to sit with that unfairness for a very long time throughout my 20s before I was ready to do something about it. I wish that when I was younger, when I was a child, that I would be faced with this responsibility when I hit adulthood. And I also really wish that someone had reassured me that whenever I make this commitment, whenever I take responsibility for my own healing and cleaning up other people's mess, it's gonna hurt less, and the pain is going to transform, and it's going to get brighter, and things are gonna get better, and your life will drastically change for the better. I wish that someone had gave me that reassurance when I was a child. There comes a huge responsibility with being put through so much pain, and when the adult people in your life, the caregivers, the adoptive parents, all of these people, when they don't do that job properly, when they abandon you, when they neglect you, and when they mistreat you, you have to clean it up later. You have to clean it up in your adulthood. But what I also wish that someone had told me about this healing work, this cleaning job, is that it's worth it. It's worth cleaning it up, because then you can finally let go of the past once and for all, and the things that are waiting for you on this other side is beyond your wildest imagination. I wish that someone had told me this when I was hitting my adulthood and I was struggling so much. I wish that someone had come to me, knocked on my door, sent me a letter and said, it's going to be so amazing on the other side. You have no idea what's waiting for you. You have no idea what you're capable of. And you must hold on to the belief that you are more than what happened to you. And that when you clean up this mess that the other people left inside you, you get to exist in the way that you want to exist in the world. And you can let go of all this pretending to being someone's daughter, pretending to be someone's son in an adoptive family that just doesn't resonate with you, where you just constantly feel like something is missing, something authentic is missing in that adoptive family, and that no one can replace the connection you had with your biological mother. I wish that someone had told me this, and that I have the power to change it on the other side of going through all of this. I really wish that someone had told me that. So that's all I have for you now. I really truly hope that this was helpful for you by sharing the 5 things that I wish I knew about how to navigate adulthood as an adopted person. This is so complex, and I know that so many people are struggling, and it's my biggest hope that by listening to my video, that it will change something for you. It will give you hope. It will take away some of the burden, the frustration. It will make the end of the tunnel more clear, and it will give you some sort of renewed energy to continue, because you can't give up now. You just can't. You've made it this far, and you're going to make it. I promise you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.